Hi, I'm Taylor, and in today's video, we're going to walk through how I made this. I made this using my Push 3 standalone, my Eurorack, and my TX6 mixer. If that sounds good, please like, please subscribe, and let's get into it. All right, so this setup is pretty chaotic a little bit to me. I got a new Eurorack case. I'm really excited about it. I first laid it out, really didn't like it. I decided to redo the setup the other day, and this is the first thing I've made with the new setup, which is so much more in line with how my brain works, but is still backwards when I try to explain it. So my brain likes this left to right, bottom to top. I did this because originally I had all the sounds on top, all the modulation in the middle, and then all the effects at the bottom, which you'd think is great. And that's kind of how all these modules are laid out, with all of the inputs and outputs on the bottom. But when I have it set up, I can't reach it. The things I'm using the most, which are usually the oscillators or the filters and things, are super far from me. So anyway, I redid it. Really into this new setup. If you've seen my other videos, there's a couple new modules in here. The ALM MCO MK2 is new, the Bastl Ikarie is new, Maths is new. Okay, so this song is actually made really simply. It's 3 different instruments and an effects loop. All of the sequencing and everything is happening through Push 3. The first channel here is bass. I've labeled them appropriately so we can't mess it up. And as you can see, it's going to the uMidi device, which is up in the top left corner over here of my modular. And then the lead is using the CV Tools pedal output to CV that Push has built in. And keys is actually a Push sound. I wanted a piano sound, and I was looking through what I had in my Push that was pretty normal piano, and I stumbled on this, I don't remember exactly what the patch is, Childhood something, and it just sounds like this old, eerie kind of piano situation. And I love the like old gross key sound situation. It's so pretty to me. As far as audio signal flow, it's really simple, minus the modular. We have one output coming from beads, which is handling the lead line. We have one output coming from my Doepfer VCA mixer, which is the bass, and then we have the effects loop that is going in and out of clouds, and then we have the outputs of the Push 3. All of that's being mixed in the TX6. Channel 1 is the Push, channel 2 is beads, channel 3 is clouds, and channel 11 is the bass. The pots on my TX6, the bottom row is the auxiliary send, and the middle row is the effects. The top row is the DJ filter that I don't use that often, but I like to have it handy. So the keys part is really, I didn't do anything outside of loading the keys sound and then running it through clouds. So that's purely the stock sound. The lead sound, which is going through the CV, this is where it gets a little complicated. So I've had a really hard time with the Push CV tools because it sends way too much CV to everything I have so far. So I have to send the pitch to a VCA, so I'm sending it to Viol's, and I have to turn down the amount of CV it's sending, and then, so I'm attenuating it, and then I have it go into the volt per octave of the MCO MK2, and then I have the trigger or gate going to the trigger of the MCO. And then the outputs are going stereo left and right to Ikarie, and stereo out of Ikarie into beads, and then beads to the TX6. I also have the trigger jump patched because it's going and triggering an envelope for Maths to send to the modulation of Ikarie. So the filter opens and closes every time I play a note. That's how you get this sound. So now it's too low, but if we open it up more, And you can see the light on Math's opening and closing, which is really nice. The sound I'm using on MCO is the wavetable, and I'm using it's kind of like a real crunchy and noisy sine wave for wave A, and then wave B is just kind of a noise wave, like totally, it's super jaggedy. And then I have them splicing, and the mix is at 58%, and that's kind of it. You can hear the long-ish attack and decay. But there's something about it that the filter moving with it feels really nice. And I didn't try to match the rise and fall for the filter with the sound, but I just played until I found a spot that I liked. As far as beads is concerned, I have the reverb density at 100%. I have the dry wet a little bit past the 50%, and the feedback is it's at like 2 o'clock, 1:30. The time is all the way left, which means it's very consistent. And same with the density. I have the shape on the saw shape, and then I have the size about halfway reverse. And then I do have the time and the size are both doing the attenuversion. It's doing the self modulations to those at 11 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And that's how we're getting this little morphy existence through it a little bit. And then this last plug, which is seed, is actually coming from the uMidi, which is coming from the bass channel, but that's just sending the run and the clock so that I have something coming from Pam's to start the run and clock to clock beads to be the right tempo. Next will be bass. Which I already said is going through uMidi, and you see that the run and clock is going into Pam's, and then pitch and trigger. So the trigger is going to Math's, and then that's going both out to the unattenuated level of Plaits, and then the attenuated level is going to the frequency of ripples. And then I have a little sine wave modulation on the resonance filter. The sound in here, I don't remember what the settings in Plaits are called, but this, you can hear the sound. Here's it open with no filter. There's the correct octave. Gosh, I really could sit here all day and play with this stuff. When I was writing this the other day, I was really interested in just making Push and this modular create something, because I've kind of been neglecting it because I've been making the other videos using less modular. But then as I had gotten it to a point, I was like, it's really missing something, and I feel like I really want to use clouds. So now the keys go. And it's now so much dreamier and so much eerier. So if I was to go and play just... And this is clouds doing all the work, which I have like the blend on all of the different things is so high. I did not mean to do that. So the reverb is like the only thing that's not that high, actually. And then you have the dry wet, which is like, or is that dry wet? Yeah, I had that at I think 50, which I guess I should have put it all the way up. Ah, well. The stereo spread was pretty hard. It's about 2 o'clock. The feedback was at like almost 3 o'clock. And then you can see these knobs. I know for sure we can see those. And that's what my settings were. The only thing I was moving during it was the position, and that would just shift where the sample was. So like, so it's just how much extra chaos we want. I ended up sending a little bit of everything to clouds because it just really added the texture that made this really special. I really wanted to use the push to its advantage, and when I used to perform live a lot, I was using the older models of the push, and I would follow action my songs through Ableton so that I didn't have to do it, but I could have specific parts of my songs, like whether lead lines or other things. I could change out what I was playing live, and I could have the backtracks and turn it off like while I was actually performing them. What, like, do I want to play the lead line here? Do I want to play the chords here or the bass line here? What's going to be easier or more interesting for me during the set? That's a side ramble, but I love that they added the follow actions in the newest update to this. So I added follow actions, and to get to the follow action view, select the master channel, which is the farthest right little button above all the play buttons on the right side of the push, and you go to the clip view. And now you have your follow actions. So I have it set up as like, I did different times of whatever the longest loop was. And so to enable or disable the follow action, you can see it here, but you select the different scenes and you get the different options for each scene, which is really awesome that it can be related to the longest. And so it tells you how many bars the different section is. But one thing to get a little bit nerdy that I was really excited about when I stopped writing this one day, and like right as I was going to bed, I was like, you know what would be cool? It would be to have like, I gotta make something more interesting out of it. So maybe like a key change or something, and then I slept on it, and then I woke up the next morning, and I literally was like, oh my gosh, what's the relative minor? Because this is in D flat major. So the relative minor is B flat minor. So I wrote it, and it goes from major to minor. So when it goes to minor, it goes to B flat minor. Oh, you know what? I swapped these cables and it is totally messing this up. I wonder if I can reach. Modular, the most fiddly stuff on the whole planet. Let's see if it goes back to how it was now. And now I've broken this one too. Yeah, okay, well, I moved this over here so that we could enjoy this, but now I can't get anything to stop. Anyway, this was really exciting for me to make. I hope that I can get back to this and get back to some of the patches. If you've been thinking about modular, but you don't like to have friction when you're writing music, I hope that this shows you that that's not how modular works. If you're not new to modular, well, welcome back. One other thing I would like to show, the things in the video that I am fiddling with is I was playing with the timbre and the morph of Plaits for the bass line, and the filter cutoff for the bass line, the filter cutoff for the lead line, a little bit of the position for clouds, and then volumes. Most of the work was done pre-performance, but then the live aspect, and then I would play a few extra notes for like the keys, like you'll hear like a couple extra notes in there. To be honest, I had no intent in doing that, and I was like, you know what, this could be a little bit more interesting if I start adding a few more notes. Let's see what happens. Please don't hit a wrong one. I mean, I can't really hit too wrong of a note because I have the push set up to stay in key, but you know, there's still room for it to sound a little bit more like jazz. That's pretty much all I have for this run through. I hope that this was informative. I hope that this helps you maybe be inspired or creative, and you can find maybe a little different way of looking at how you create music, or just seeing my chaos and how my brain works and coming up with some stuff, if that inspired you or helped you break through a little bit of your creativity. Maybe you saw something in a little bit of a different light with this. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Please like, please subscribe. Please let me know if you have any ideas or anything you'd like to see in the future. And I'll catch you on the next one.